Hey guys, sorry for this kind of weird angle. This is a window right here. Anyways, a couple of days ago I interviewed Megan Lavoda, an ENFJ, and if you haven't checked out the interview already, you definitely should, because I think Megan is amazing. I think the interview is very interesting, but it also inspired this video. And what I mean particularly is, wait a second. Oh my gosh, good. Sorry, I thought I saw Fleur outside, because there's like this black cat outside right now, and it is not Fleur. I am happy about that. Anyways, so I kind of wanted to talk about how I mistyped as an ENFJ, why I mistyped as an ENFJ originally, and how I discovered that I was an INFJ because of that. And I know I've talked about it before, but I haven't made like a particular video for it. So I originally took the test around, I believe I was 16, I might have been 17, I'm pretty sure I was 16. I was in high school, and my friend Joey, who's also on YouTube, he's an INFp, he was kind of begging me to take the test. He's like, I mean, not really begging, but just like, kind of like, Emily, you really should take this test, it's so cool, like, kind of like telling me, oh, like, I really want to know what you are, stuff like that. So I ended up taking the test, and I tested as ENFJ. Now, for those of you that know me outside of YouTube, especially people that knew me in high school and before, they would probably laugh in your face because I was probably the most introverted person at my school that there possibly was. And I just was really extremely quiet, very introspective. I was inquisitive in many ways, but I didn't, I very rarely talked, and when I did, it was like everybody looked at me like, whoa, this girl's talking. Anyways, but I love people, I always have loved people, and so I thought, oh yeah, so I'm an ENFJ, this makes sense. And the description fit me pretty well, which also makes sense because INFJ and ENFJ are sister types, or mirrors in Socionics. Meaning that where ENFJs lead with extroverted feeling, their second function is introverted intuition, their tertiary function is extroverted sensing, and their fourth function is introverted thinking. Now, INFJs are just a little bit different than that. And instead of leading with extroverted feeling, they lead with introverted intuition, and then their second function is extroverted feeling. And then their tertiary function is introverted thinking, and their fourth function is extroverted sensing. So it's a very, in my mind, a pretty common mistype. And as, of course, when I was, well, it's not of course because not everybody's like this. There are people right now, and I know some of you are pretty young, and you have already started studying the cognitive functions, and you're way ahead of where I was at that time, because I just kind of saw the test as, oh, it's like one of those personality tests. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever taken the color test where you can be like, it's either red or orange, yellow, blue, and green, or green. I just kind of thought of it like that. I didn't really give it a super huge thought at the time, but I thought it was really cool. And then going forward, it wasn't until college, probably around really into my junior year, my third year, that I really started getting super obsessed with Myers-Briggs. And I actually wanted to do a research project in my research methods class, but at the time, I thought I was an ENFJ. Obviously, again, it's very easy to mistype as an INFJ, just like it is easy for like an INFp to mistype as an INFJ, stuff like that. But to top it all off, when I was in college, I also acted extremely extroverted. It definitely was not in my nature. It's my nature at home or with people that I really love. And, I mean, I love people in general, but people that I really feel comfortable with, I've always been kind of goofy and, weird and stuff like that. So it's not a big surprise for people that really know me, but for people that just knew me in public, the change that I made in college was extremely drastic. And I made it a mission to talk to everybody. And I told Megan this, and I think I've talked about this before, but people would even start calling me like popular and stuff like that. When I was in college, they're like, oh, you don't know what it feels like because you don't know how it feels like because X, Y, and Z, because you're popular. And that was the first time that I had ever heard that term made towards me, because I was not even a little bit popular in high school. Again, I didn't have a friend group. I was kind of the person that would hop around to different people. I was friends with like different people, but very few people. And people typically talked to me. I didn't really talk to them. And in college, it was the opposite. I went out and I talked to a lot of people. So anyways, I got very obsessed with it. And there came a time in 2015, I think it was either 2014 or 2015. I believe it was 2015. My friend Valerie, who is an ENTP, we were driving to, I believe, the Georgia Aquarium, because I used to live in Georgia. That's where I went to university and all of that stuff, and I grew up in Georgia. And she just told me flat out that she didn't think I was an ENFJ. And I had already been kind of thinking about it, because even though I related so much to ENFJ stuff, I realized, something's kind of off. I don't think I'm as extroverted as I think I am. And in fact, I was pushing myself so much in college that it became very draining. The kind of things that most extroverts would do naturally, I was finding very hard. And I was involved in a lot of things. I was involved in a lot of leadership positions, and I was a resident assistant. For those of you that aren't familiar with that, it's basically the people that patrol the dormitories, and in my school it was really hands-on and it was a really intense job. But yeah, and I just would talk to so many people, so people just assumed I was an extrovert. And I would have parties and I would have get-togethers that were pretty large, and I would find myself escaping into my room or, with my cats. And of course, I'm not saying that all extroverts are able to be like on all the time. There's definitely, like, for example, I think ENFPs are the most introverted extroverts. I might be wrong by that, but I do find that ENFPs have to, escape more often than other extroverts. And in this case, I was really pushing myself. And so when Valerie told me, I don't think you're an ENFJ, I was like, yeah, there's something off about it. She's like, I think you're an INFJ. And at this point, I basically just did my research. I studied the cognitive functions. That was the biggest thing. And I just dived so deeply into everything. At this point, I already knew about Socionics. I knew about Socionics for a few years. I knew about Enneagram, the different things. Strengths Finder, which I've done, things like that. And so I just basically went headfirst into the information, and I considered every single type, and I went through it so much. And it wasn't until I felt 99.99% sure that I was an INFJ did I really accept that fact. And again, maybe it's not a fact. I'm still open in the future. I don't believe that I'm mistyped now, but if there was evidence or some type of clear thing, I wouldn't be like, oh, well, no, I'm not, you know, but again, I feel like I have landed at my type, and ever since then, as you probably know if you watch my channel, I'm very obsessed with this stuff, and I don't really talk about it with people in my daily life, but I still am so super passionate about it online and all those things. So if you like my videos, or if you want to be interviewed, and you don't have to be a subscriber to be interviewed, but if you do, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe. I also would love to talk to you, so please put stuff in the comments below. I try to reply to every single comment, unless it's a super, you know, malicious comment. I will delete those, but yeah, I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.